The challenge since the beginning has been to do 15 minutes of music production for 365 days. And we are now T minus less than 100 days before that challenge is concluded. And the main reason I set that goal of like such a very small amount of production every day was to make the goal attainable and to make it habit forming. At this point, it's kind of hard to tell if it's a habit or if it is it is definitely a rhythm. It's one of the most consistent rhythms of my life at this point, is that every day I will sit down and work on music. But there are definitely days like today where the only reason I'm sitting down to work on music is because I have to do it for the challenge. And so I do think keeping the challenge going is probably going to be an important thing. But I don't think 15 minutes every day necessarily is actually going to be as beneficial as, I don't know, some other slight arrangement of like maybe like 5 days a week doing at least 30 minutes or something like that. And the main thing is that like I've been working on this for 2 hours today. And again, this was a day when I was like, I just need to just kind of check the box that I did the challenge. But I've been so kind of frustrated at my inability to seem to make progress on this piece that I just kind of sat here and just tinkered and fiddled with things until I found something that I thought actually worked. And that took about 2 hours. And it does seem to be that if I really sit down and like give myself 2 hours to work on things, I make meaningful progress. Who would have thought, right? I'm okay with where the drop is at right now. We'll see if I still feel this way in the morning. And it is not at all the type of drop I was hoping to write, but I think it is the type of drop this piece actually is. We started with this chunk of music a few days ago.
Heartbeat electric, starboard eclectic, open wide, let your mind feel the pulmonary lo-fi stereo. Young hearts divining, always arriving, the clarity, ubiquity, singing loud and clear. I am here tonight. I am here tonight.
It's drum and bass, but it's very trancey drum and bass. It's not aggressive, bassy drum and bass, you know? And I've been trying to write bass music drum and bass for a while now, a few months, and I've still just yet to really get a sound that I think works. And I think part of that is that I usually start with something like this and then try to turn this into an aggressive piece of music when this is not what that is. And so the drop has been, kind of the original drop has been a thing that I feel like I've really been struggling with for the past few days and trying to build right basses and then figuring out like, okay, well, if I can build good basses, how am I going to transition into this sound over here where I do like the basses here. I think they work well. And so maybe I'm kind of trying to force an idea into the piece that isn't there. So I kind of just re-racked it here and retitled this one I Am Here Tonight Restart and just saved as and put those old basses up into the graveyard and just tried something new. Built out a little bit of the build here. Build still definitely needs some work. I'll play it through from that build, or kind of from halfway through the verse here, and you can tell me kind of what you think of this.
Young hearts divining, always arriving, the clarity, ubiquity, singing loud and clear. I am here tonight. I am here tonight.
So that transitioning back there, I think works where nothing has worked up until this point, right? And obviously there still needs a lot of effects and sounds to kind of like sell this all together and mesh them together. But that obviously, because we're using the same type of bass sounds with a very similar chord progression, it just kind of flows into itself well. I really like this sound we built. I think that is a wonderful kind of like, this is the first moment where the drop kind of, you know, like actually like kind of hit you in the face a little bit.
I am here tonight.
That's great. Now this over here, I don't love this little guy. This guy's trying his best. This is actually a preset that I was just like struggling to think of. Like I want there to be kind of a call and response between those brassy chords and something else. So I just did not know what. So I started going through the presets and then tweaked the PWM here to make it sound different, and added some delay and compressors just to see if I could get it sounding a little bit, I don't know, just a little bit better. I tried putting a step filter on it, seeing if I can make a difference. It did, and I just put a trance gate on it. That helped a little bit. But yeah, I do think that these guys go really well with the basses. This all... I think that's all pretty good. This sound is the thing that I think, like, after the 2 hours, I was like, I'm proud of that. That's a good sound. I like it. We did build this entirely from scratch on our own. This B oscillator is not needed. It is not on. It's just a 16 voice saw wave with the level being LFO'd here by these guys. That's also changing the cutoff of the filter, same LFO there. And that LFO is also controlling the noise level. And then at that point, it's just some distortion where we are actually using the post filter here, which I never thought about, like the fact that I could basically use this, right? Usually this is by default set to off, but if I needed like a static filter, I could use distortion for that. Reverb, compressor, that's all. Nice simple sound, but it does a good job of being the sound that I want it to be there. And this is just going to be a little more of a trancey piece, and that's fine. And we can, in the next piece, continue to try and make actual bassy drum and bass, you know? I will say, I'm sure when I played this through the first time for you guys, unless you were really in love with the musical idea, these two loops is too much. There needs to be some sort of change between the two. I mainly think that if this sound was better, this one I don't like down here, it probably wouldn't be that bad, but one loop felt like too little. 2 loops feels like a bit too much, so we definitely need some stuff, some variation in percussion and stuff like that to sell this without having it drag before we get back to the vocals. So yep, that's all we did today. More music tomorrow. Thanks so much for watching. See you guys then. Bye-bye.